After you have gotten everything on track and start to deal with diverse clients and freelancers, this is the time where you may feel challenged. Even though this means you actually own a great business and you're doing things right, you still need to be prepared for whatever future you are heading to. The more people you cope with, the more difficulties are faced. There are many different types of personalities that you'll encounter, and you will need to make yourself flexible enough to bear with them. Managing your freelancers is not an easy task, especially when dealing with those difficult ones. Do not ever underestimate this. I will share with you the issues you may face and the solutions to these problems. It is essential to determine how your freelancer works. There are a lot of what-ifs to be foreseen. For example, what if he or she is a draggy person? What if they take it slow and complete their work at the very last minute? This is why scheduling is helpful for the work to be done. You need to set up a strict time phase or deadline for your freelancers and let them know that you're very precise about time. You can even contact them a day before the deadline just to check in on their progress. Write an email or message them. It is even better if they are okay with a local phone call. If your freelancers are not based locally, an email and a message would be good. Remember, a little rushing won't hurt, but you will need to take note of your tone in both writing and talking. Rushing is not threatening. It is your right to rush, but threatening people will only scare them off and set a bad reputation for yourself. Furthermore, there is a situation where your freelancer is not satisfied with the amount of money you pay. Trust me, it happens. So in this case, what should you do? First, establish a friendly negotiation. You do not want to push yourself to a dead end by insisting on your initial pay. Try to bargain with them and work things out together. If you feel uncertain on giving extra pay to people you don't know well, you can promise a bonus if they are able to finish their work on time with splendid quality. In this situation, no one loses. Of course, you can always call off a deal if you are not comfortable or if you think your freelancer is asking too much from you. Settle for a mutual cancellation and find another freelancer who's willing to work for you with your pay. If the majority of your freelancers raise up the payment issue, then it is time for you to readjust the pay you offer. Try not to think of how much you have to lose, but of the loyalty that you've earned. If a little increase in pay gets you loyal freelancers, don't you think it's a good way to go? All right, enough on difficult freelancers. Did you know some barriers can only be resolved by yourself? This kind of barrier is far more difficult to deal with because you are struggling with your own will. There will be the time when you need to let go of something in order to achieve your success. Let's get you prepared. Your biggest challenge will be time management. This happens when you have too much traffic at the same time. Great business comes with a price, and time will be your price. This is where you will need to be flexible and keep your mind clear. Communicate with your buyers and also outsource your work systematically to your freelancers. The important thing is not to be frightened by the jam. It is actually a good sign, but you will need to have a clear head to handle this. Also, do not be afraid to say no to your buyers if you really can't afford the traffic. Being honest to your buyer is better than messing up your business. Buyers will not leave any bad comments or reviews if you talk to them nicely and politely. They'll understand. It is good if you're able to handle your traffic accordingly, but this may be the time where your daily life and working life gets messed up. You may be unable to separate yourself into several parts for your work, family, or friends. You may even have no time for yourself. Here's a point to note. A successful person works with quality. If you know your business is great, on track, and doing well, you may choose buyers with the higher price offered. With all the good reviews and 5-star ratings, it is not that hard to get the deal. You can slow down your business by accepting higher paid jobs and outsourcing them to your freelancers. Thus, you can spare yourself some time to have a good meal and quality time with your friends and family. Remember, successful people do not work like a dog. They work smart. We all know that you need a resume when you apply for a job or go for an interview. Your Fiverr profile works just like your resume when you don't just say a few words about yourself. Think about it. Before committing to a company, you will probably research their background, company history, and reviews. Trust me, Fiverr buyers act just like that too. On Fiverr, the first thing most buyers will do before they click the purchase button is to check out your seller profile. So your Fiverr profile is where you make your first impression on your buyers. By reading your profile, buyers will be able to understand you, know your background and experience, and most importantly, You can gain their trust. Believe me, your customers' trust is worth more than anything. Remember that your Fiverr profile is a part of you, so it's important that buyers get a real sense of who you are and what matters to you. Your profile will be an expression of your passion on what you are into and what you are capable of. With a groomed Fiverr profile, you can even build up a good reputation amongst your customers, which leads to higher rating profiles. There are a few ways to optimize your profile, so are you ready for this section? Get yourself ready and let's go. When a person sees something, that person relates to the picture or color first, followed by words and texts. So a proper profile picture is essential for your Fiverr profile. The first step is choosing a picture that conveys the value you want to show. Choosing an image of an object, an animal, or anything else that isn't you doesn't help. It looks like you're trying to be anonymous, which is something that doesn't increase trust. As I've said earlier, your customer's trust is gold. For your profile picture, you do not have to put on airs to look cool. Just be comfortable about who you really are. Let me give you a situation. If a person you don't know added you on any of your social media accounts with a profile picture of an animal, would you accept their request? It is highly unlikely that you would. Same goes with your customer. After all, your customer doesn't choose you because of the way you look. It is what is inside you that matters the most. You don't want to be an empty can that makes the most noise. To make customers take notice of you, your profile description comes in handy. This is because it helps to cement your customer's first impression on you in a space of 2 tweets. You will need to be genuine when you are writing your background and experiences. Don't be biased. Stay honest and make your description short and sweet. Being dishonest on your profile description will never help and may bring negative reviews instead if found out. The next thing you need to take note on will be your vocabulary, grammar, spelling, and punctuation. All these are important because they create a professional appearance. Your customers may not be a grammar expert, but they would definitely know a poorly written article when they see it. Keep this in mind. Fiverr is a marketplace created predominantly for English-speaking customers, so the odds are stacked against non-native speakers. Hence, it's time to brush up on your grammar. All customers will not reject a fast delivery. Every customer wants to be your first priority and hopes that you get things done as quickly as possible. If you're not able to deliver quickly, try not to delay. It will be a big turn-off to your customer and it lowers your customer's trust. However, you can always set your standard delivery days. For example, if your standard delivery day is 4 days, you may offer your customer an extra fast delivery, which is 2 days. But you need to know your limit and not overexert yourself. Positive reviews are the key to attracting more customers. Good reviews build confidence and make customers more likely to buy from you. People are more likely to trust highly rated products in general. Thus, you may need to do everything possible to take care of your customers and earn their 100% affirmation and 5-star reviews. Not to worry, I will teach you on how to get 5-star ratings in the next chapter. By the way, do not buy reviews or create fake reviews. If your work is not outstanding, customers will see through the fake reviews and figure out that you're padding your own gigs. In this case, not only do you lose your customers' trust, you also lose your special ranking if you are a new seller on Fiverr. No matter how small an amount $5 has become in today's world, it is still something we do not want to risk as a bad experience. It is better if you and your customer achieve a mutual understanding on the issue of refunding. For example, if you cannot make your order right, promise your customer that you will fully refund the amount back. A mutual cancellation can be done peacefully with the right attitude. It is normal for people to get really sensitive when it comes to money issues. Customers tend to get cranky when their orders fail to reach their expectations after spending a certain amount of money to get their work done. You will get complaints and negative reviews that touch on money issues. When this occurs in your profile, your reputation and the effort you put in could be discarded in a flash. To get more people to be aware about your profile, you can create content with a blog post. Use social media accounts like Facebook or Twitter to share. If you don't have the time to create content or don't have the motivation to do so, you can always post tweets with your links for informative and interesting articles related to your service. Use helpful software like Buffer to schedule your tweets to your posts in advance so that you won't have to keep posting in order to grab attention. But take note, continuous self-promotion will only irritate people and cause them to unfollow you. Hence, in order to grab people's attention, you might want to craft some good tweets with attractive images. As I've mentioned above, people look at the colors first. Long texts or content will only bore them. The time will inevitably come when there may be something wrong with one of your gigs, or you're having a problem with your account, or a buyer leaves a completely unfounded negative review, or something awful happens that can only be solved by Fiverr's customer support department. Attitude is important. You don't want to be rude to them as they are your lifelines. Last but not least, do not be a copycat. It is very important for you to know this. Do not copy even if you are desperate for great gigs to boost your profile. Copying is rude and dishonest. If you do so, you're stealing others' ideas to make your own profits. If the original seller finds out about this, they can launch a report against you. By getting reported from the original seller, not only will your gig get taken down, your entire account could get closed down too. So it is very important that you do not copy. In order to maintain yourself as the top seller list on Fiverr, getting a 5-star rating for your profile is essential. You'll get more features from Fiverr when you receive the status of top-rated seller. By this, the chances of getting your gigs featured by Fiverr will become higher as well. This is why you need to be dedicated to your job and do your best in keeping your customers satisfied. Getting a 3-star rating will not be adequate. Get yourself at least a 4-star rating from each buyer you serve. As a seller, you would not want to miss out on this module on how to get and maintain 5-star ratings in Fiverr. Without further ado, let's get into it. As a seller on Fiverr, it is always great to have 5 stars or 100% ratings on your account. Not only does this help you get more sales, it also makes you an authority in your niche. If being a top-rated seller is your goal, it is also important to achieve your full 5-star rating. If you want a 100% positive rating on your account, you will of course need to give 100% of effort in doing your job. That's what every buyer wants, right? If I put you in the same situation, you would want your sellers to do their best too. The definition of a good quality job may vary from time to time because it depends on your customers' expectations. However, it is a must for you to reach your customers' expectations or even exceed it. Who doesn't want a better job done? A basic but important thing to remember is that you need to follow up on the order. It is important so that you can avoid delivering inadequate work. For example, if you're writing content, proofread your grammar and spelling to avoid mistakes. If you're designing a graphic or a logo, avoid putting the wrong color or sketch, which is different from what your buyer wants. Up next is to be punctual when delivering your job. Do not delay. Be determined when completing your responsibilities. Your buyer is paying you for your product, and you are not doing this for free or for charity. In regards to responsibilities, you wouldn't want the same thing to happen to you if you're the buyer. If you're having some problems in your process, reach out to the buyer and politely explain to them that their order would be delivered late. Customers are usually understanding if you provide clear and polite explanations. Sometimes your buyer might want to know more about what you can provide before they get in touch with you. Thus, adding details to your description will make it easier for them to understand, so that they will have a rough idea on what you're capable of before making their decision. Check this example of a description out. If you want a simple yet elegant logo, you can apply here. You'll get the following services each for $5. Important, discuss the font before placing an order. High-quality design from a low-quality logo. Vector designing. Redesigning basic logos from a previously designed logo. Extra charges on complex designs discussed before placing an order. Editing a logo. Adding or changing text. I do not draw or redraw human faces. If you have any issues or complaints, please do not leave a bad review. Instead, kindly message me so we can work things out. This also prevents misunderstandings between you and your buyer. If a misunderstanding occurs, you must always ask them to refer back to your description as solid proof instead of you debating with your buyer to defend yourself. Misunderstandings may create bad feelings and cause a higher possibility to lower down your rating. One word of advice: be responsible when doing your job. Do not treat this as freelance work. When you have the mentality that $5 jobs are not worth investing time and effort, you will not be able to deliver good quality work. Always think of this as an opportunity to improve your work. If you manage to keep this up, you can keep them as your long-term customers. People will always come back to you for your service if they have had good experiences dealing with you. Do not deliver the work if you're not satisfied with it. This is the key to delivering good quality work. Set your standards slightly higher so that if you are satisfied with the end result of your work, your client is going to love it even more. Another thing is not to go offline for a long period of time without checking your orders. If you're going to be away for some time, for example, going on vacation or attending a wedding, put your gig on vacation mode. But be sure to complete any job at hand or explain to the buyers that you would not be able to complete the job during that period. 5-star ratings will not only make your profile look good and give you the traffic you want, but also separate you from the average seller. After being separated from the average seller, buyers will have a clearer picture on who you are. You must aim to stand out amongst all other sellers in order to make more money. Buyers will be more willing to pay more if you're a 5-star rating seller. Believe me, 5-star ratings are much more trustworthy. There are a few methods to maintain 5-star ratings. If you know the game well enough, you'll understand the points that I'm going to say. Do whatever which is requested of you from the buyer, even if that means spending a few more hours on it. Run your Fiverr gig like you would run a business. Be courteous, and remember that the customer is always your biggest priority. Don't be afraid to over-deliver. Over-delivering doesn't mean that you're doing charity. It is a marketing technique that would make your buyer happy. Let's assume you promised 200 words but delivered 280 words instead. Who wouldn't be happy about a free bonus, right? You must understand that building up a relationship with your buyer is the only long-term solution to get them to come back to your service. The only way to build up a relationship with your potential customer is through the conversation with them. Thus, get to know your buyer well, and you can even refer to them by their first name. In fact, always name them first before you move on to your content. Even though it may seem insignificant, attitude makes a huge impact towards your job and yourself. You may be wondering how others earn up to hundreds or thousands of revenue just by offering services on Fiverr, if it is just worth $5 for every service. However, if you have already been in the Fiverr business for long, you would know the secret. Yes, it's through stacking up on gig extras. Gig extras are the main source of income. In marketing terms, the $5 work can be said to be the front-end product that you offer to attract potential customers. Once they get into your offer page, they will see the upsells, which are the gig extras on Fiverr. That being said, gig extras increase the revenue for one gig. Like I said, a gig extra allows you to earn more than $5 for one gig in Fiverr. You are creating your own sales funnel in Fiverr when you create gig extras for your gig. Through the sales funnel you've created, you do not need to send more traffic to the same place. By just offering the gig extras, you can generate larger profits with the same amount of traffic. Gig extras are the additional services that you can offer them on top of the gig for an additional price defined by the sellers. For instance, if you offer a 3-minute voiceover with $5, the gig extras that you can put here is an extra $10 for syncing the voiceover to the video. The prices for gig extras are all up to you, but take note of this: the gig extras that you offer must be congruent to your gig, and the price must be fair. Other than knowing why you should offer gig extras on Fiverr, one thing you need to take note of is the different Fiverr levels. You will get to offer more gig extras as you advance up each higher level. When you first get started on Fiverr, you'll be complimented with 2 gig extras by Fiverr. Meaning to say, other than the first gig of $5, you can add up to 2 gig extras with prices up to $20 each. Moving forward, if you are a level 1 seller, you will have the privilege to add up to 4 gig extras with prices up to $40. When you're given the status of a level 2 seller, which is also called the Pro League, you'll be given 5 gig extras up to $50 for each gig extra. When you have reached the top level, which is the top rated seller, you'll be given 6 gig extras up to $100 for 1 gig extra. This is the benefit that is exclusively offered to the top rated sellers. They could earn up to at least $600 for just one gig. And this is why sellers put in all effort to make their way through to achieve the top-rated seller status. The higher the level, the more benefits you'll have. The more gig extras you create, the more revenue you can generate in one gig. Imagine if you could earn up to $300 a gig, and you have 10 gigs in queue. Hence, you'll earn about $3,000 a month. And this may be the least you can generate, as it could be more. And when you have more gigs on hand, you can generate more revenue than before, which you can then choose to outsource some or even all the gigs to freelancers. It will be more efficient to buy someone else's time to work for you. When you increase the revenue, the margin that you can offer to your freelancers would be higher too. Moving on, you increase the variety of your services when you increase the offer of gig extras. You offer a package of services to ease the work of your buyers. People always look for a place where someone could do everything for them. Offering gig extras is a great way to understand what your customers need. After some time, you can design a package of services and put it up as the custom offer for your customers. When people click on the custom offer, it will automatically pick on all the gig extras for them. Think of it as setting up a favorite order for them. Here's a small tip for you. You can set the price to be slightly lower than usual when offering them the custom offer. This would ease your customers' work as well as increase the purchase rate. On Fiverr, the procedure of being the middleman, in other words, brokering, can be complicated if you're not familiar with the system. From communicating and getting information from the customers, looking for and dealing with freelancers, to the delivering of work, it would be a big problem if you do not know the right way of doing this. In this video, I'll teach you about the brokering system and lead you step by step through the whole procedure. Without further ado, let's get started. Step 1. Connect with the client. This would be the most important part amongst all the other steps. Connecting with the client and understanding their needs are the keys to success, so communication with the client is essential. Throughout the conversation, get as much information as you can to understand clients' needs. The key point here is to be specific. Quality work can only be delivered when you can achieve what your clients want. If needed, collect the necessary files to be sent to the freelancers. Once you have obtained the information from your client, list them down and state the prices for each gig. Send them the custom offer according to their requirements. However, remember that they might not take up the offer if the price is too expensive. But once they've accepted the offer and made the payment, you can then proceed to the next step. Step 2 is to look for the freelancer. If you've already been in the business for some time, you would have already built up some connections with freelancers. Send the request from the client to freelancer. Take note before sending the request to rearrange the details of the gig. If there are special requirements from the client, list them as special remarks. Always remember to be specific on the request of the client when you convey the message to your freelancer. When both of you have made a mutual agreement on the work, set a timeline due. Set the date at least 30 days before the actual delivery date to your client. This is to ensure that there is still a period of time for you to make changes to refine the work. For example, if you are requested to deliver the job within a week, give your freelancer 4 to 5 days to complete the job. After dealing with the freelancers, you can now spare some time to connect with other clients or other jobs. However, note that you will have to keep track of the work progress. According to how you've dealt with your client, the date of delivery is already set. You can't afford to deliver it later than the date because this would definitely leave a bad impression on your clients. So be sure to keep in touch with the freelancer to check on the work progress. You must also be wise in choosing the right timing. Knowing the progress of the work is important, but you must also know when to look for the freelancer. Depending on the duration for delivery, you will need to set your timing. For instance, if the duration of delivery is within a week, you can contact the freelancer every once in 2 days. This is to make sure that the work is up to standard, as well as to keep both of you up to the timeline. Like I have mentioned earlier, get the work from the freelancer at least 3 days before the delivery date to do a final check on the work. Delivering good quality work is the key to keeping your clients happy. Therefore, to ensure the quality of work is up to standard, get the work earlier from the freelancer to avoid last-minute changes. When you are checking on the quality of work, always take the client's requirements into account. The quality of the work is based on the requirements from clients. It is neither up to you nor the freelancer to decide. Thus, check the work based on the information provided by your client. If needed, request for final revision of the work. Lastly, deliver the work to your client. Once you've gotten the entire work from your freelancer, compile them and save it in zip file if needed. Double or even triple check the work. A small tip here: create a checklist. For example, if you are requested to create a logo and have to save it in different formats, list them down on a paper. Check on the files and make sure you have all the formats in the folder. A checklist will ease your work on this. Finally, deliver it to your client. When you switch your role from a seller to a broker on Fiverr, you could free up your time because you can now outsource the job to freelancers. But this doesn't mean that you can stop working. Instead, fully utilize your time to generate traffic to your profile. No matter how cool or fabulous your gig is, you are not going to generate any sales if your profile is not visible to your potential clients. Thus, generating traffic to the profile becomes as important as delivering quality work. This is a time-consuming task which requires a lot of effort. Hence, now that you have freed up your time by outsourcing the jobs to freelancers, you can focus on generating traffic to your profile. You have to get the word out about your gig and give them a reason to visit your profile. The first way of doing it is by spreading the news on social media platforms. As you already know, social media platforms can be a powerful tool nowadays. The news can be spread on the media like a contagious virus within hours. Start with creating your own fan page and promote your gigs on social media platforms. This would be the fastest and cheapest way. The cost for doing this can be said to be near to zero, as you do not need to pay anything for people to see it. Other than just promoting your gig through your fan page, join groups or forums that are related to Fiverr. Search for groups in Facebook. There are plenty of groups available. However, always look for active ones. If they are a closed group, request to join them. Once you have gotten the approval, start talking to the people there. Introduce yourself and start a conversation with the people there. Other than making the announcement of your gig over there, you can research on how other sellers promote their gig, especially the top-rated sellers in the group. Besides looking for opportunities on Facebook, you can post your status on Pinterest, Instagram, and YouTube as well. Though social media platforms can be a really powerful tool to promote your gigs and increase the traffic to your profile, one thing that you can't forget is the star ratings on Fiverr. Even though people may click on your link and go to your profile, if your star rating is not as good as other sellers, you may lose them forever. Thus, accumulating a massive number of positive feedback to maintain your rating is essential. It is recommended that you keep your profile rating as 4 or above out of the 5. Visitors evaluate sellers based on the star rating nowadays. They compare the star rating of sellers and pick the one with a higher rating. When your profile has a higher star rating and more positive feedback than negative feedback, visitors are more likely to choose you over the others. Another great way to generate traffic to your profile is by focusing your profile to a targeted niche. Unlike aiming for the general market, you are now focusing on just one market. Instead of getting everyone to see your profile, you need to be picky on your clients now. To do this, you will need to do a bit of optimization on your gig description. For instance, instead of using general keywords such as a logo and video, change it to a business logo or speed drawing video. When you use a gig description like this, you are at the same time narrowing down the market. If this sounds bad, it's actually not. When you're focusing on a targeted niche, visitors are more likely to get your profile in the search results when they are looking for specific services on Fiverr. Do some research on the hot keywords that visitors will usually search for on Fiverr, and then optimize your gig description with those keywords. This way, when visitors search for specific services, chances that your gig page appears in the homepage are higher. Aim for a focused niche and get quality clients on Fiverr. Last but not least, you can conduct your own advert campaigns on social media platforms such as Facebook and YouTube. If you own a Facebook fan page, you can run an advert campaign with it. Once you've created the campaign and set up the targeted group which you wish to show your ad, you could possibly get connected to the untapped users that you never knew would be interested in your service. Beyond Facebook, Twitter would be the largest social media platform people always hang out on. You can post your status and even create your own hashtag that will link to any of your social media profiles. If you have a video to promote your gig, you can upload it to YouTube and run an ad campaign for it. You may think running advert campaigns on Facebook and YouTube may incur huge costs, but the good news is you run everything under your control. You can set your own budget on how much you would spend for the campaign. I will not talk about how to set up your advert campaigns here because it's a totally different ballgame. Moving on, if you have your own website or even your own mailing list, do not hesitate to mail out your gig offer to them. According to research, 44% of email recipients make at least one purchase based on a promotional email. From this statistic, you can see that people actually open and make a purchase from promotional emails. If you already have a mailing list, do not hesitate to send them your offer. If you do not have one, it's time to start building one. You leave a lot of money behind without building up your own mailing list. You can send them the promotional emails whenever you have a new gig or new product to share with them. Now that you already have the knowledge on how to generate your traffic to your profile, do you know that finding a freelancer to work with you is something to learn too? As you know, there are loads of freelancers out there who are willing to work, but are they all qualified for you? This is an important question to ask because you don't want to hire them without knowing them. The quality of your freelancer is equal to the quality of your product at the end of the day. So, how can you approach your freelance to work for you with quality assured? Let's get started. Nowadays, people can't live without the internet and their social media account. They will keep browsing and scrolling through to kill time. As I've mentioned in the previous section, social media is a good engine for you to gain traffic as well as for you to recruit. For people who are more and more internet-oriented, it is easier for you to get what you want. You could filter your friends list according to your recruitment needs. Use filter software like Manage Filter to speed up your findings so you could double up your work. Also, there are groups and pages for freelance jobs on Facebook. Join them to see if there's any talent who matches your need, or you could post your need in the group to recruit your potential freelancers. In case you're not an active person on social media, there is another way to find potential freelancers, using freelancer websites. There are several sites for you to choose from. Examples are Agent Solo, All Freelance Work, and Upwork. You can filter them accordingly with your location, fields, and patterns. Find websites with responsive admins and freelancers. This is because if you encounter any problems, you will at least know who to turn to. Before you go into the website, make sure you understand their terms, policies, and conditions, especially on credit transferring and refunding issues. Establish a clear communication with the support and read their website policies before you start to use their freelancers. Now you have a picture on how to recruit your talents. It's time to determine your strategies on how to ensure your freelancer's quality. Allow me to ask you a few questions. If you're a buyer, how would you go about choosing a freelancer to work for you? What kind of products would you expect from your talent that you have hired? If you make a bad choice, it will affect the balance between you and your buyer, which creates bad feelings. I'm sure you know where bad feelings can lead your business to. Thus, to avoid all these from happening, you will need a good plan and some strategies before you get into the recruitment business. First, recruit wisely. You need to know who you are working with. Get to know your freelancer from their profile and description. If there is no description, try to look for their contact. Message them directly to ask for their background and experience, or try searching for their social media accounts. Did you know that you can see a person's character from their social media behavior? It is even better if the person shares their work in public on social media. You can then preview their job for free. For example, you chance upon a photographer who shares his work publicly on his Instagram account. You can direct message him from your Instagram if you're interested in his work. Just like your buyers choose you for your good reviews, you choose your talent with good reviews too. As I said earlier, who doesn't want to work with the better person? Collect all their profiles and reviews. You can narrow them down to 5 or 10 according to your business and how much you can manage. This is something that you can't rush through, so take it one step at a time. Read and determine their abilities carefully before you finally hire them. Furthermore, revising the work done is essential to you. Remember, you need to make sure the quality matches your buyer's expectation and also your own reputation. Otherwise, buyers may doubt your ability and also the reviews you get. This is why the talent you hire plays an important role in keeping you as a successful broker. You need to be strict on the quality. Despite telling your talent what it is your buyer needs, I would suggest you to revise the work done before delivering it to your buyer. It is always good to double and triple check to assure the quality and correct any mistakes. Since they have already done most of the work for you, there is nothing to lose in spending some time to double check their work. Also, by revising the work done, you're able to have a deeper understanding on which freelancer is worth to work with, and you may even consider a long-term buyer-seller relationship. In order to have time to revise their job, you will need to speed up the exchange. It is not just about the issue on checking, but also to avoid delayed deliveries to your own buyer. For example, you promise your buyer a 7-day period to complete your job, so you have to request a 5-day job done from your talent. Give yourself at least 2 days to review the job if you have a couple of businesses going on. Schedule yourself to check on the working process from time to time so that you can give some advice if the working process is slow, or if your talent meets some problems which he's not able to resolve himself. Do not hesitate to help your talent. A little help from you may mean a lot to them. It is not just about saving you from the hassle of late deliveries, but also to build up your reputation amongst them to earn their loyalty. Relying on freelancers and other third parties is a must when brokering in Fiverr. There are many issues which can arise from this. For instance, how can you determine that the person on the other end of the computer is honest in his or her dealings? There's no way to be 100% sure that everything will go smoothly because you will never know who the person is on the other end. Hence, the process of screening and filtering freelancers is unavoidable for a broker. It may be a time-consuming procedure, but once you get the connection with the freelancers, you can resume working with them if they have proven to provide quality service and work. Here are a few methods that will help keep you at ease. You're going to go through a series of filters before you decide to contact them. Without further ado, let's move on to the first level. First and foremost, you must pick the right place to post your offer. Use established marketplaces on the internet. The difference between non-established and established marketplaces is that established ones will keep only good quality freelancers. There is already a large pool of freelancers available in these established marketplaces. The following are a list of established marketplaces where you can find quality freelancers: Agent Solo, All Freelance Work, and Upwork. Many potential candidates will send you the link to their profile once you get your job posted. Read through the feedback they've gotten. Even though such information may not be able to show you exactly how reliable they are, but it does ease your work if you are hiring the freelancer for the first time. Filter the candidates by their ratings. After you've posted the job in the marketplace, you'll get a bunch of responses from freelancers hoping to get the job. Contacting them one by one would be time-consuming. To solve this problem, filter them according to their ratings. This would also help you to decrease the number of candidates. In general, there are 2 types of rating systems, which are the 10-point rating system and the 5-star rating system. If the marketplace that you use is using the 10-point rating system, make sure the freelancers have at least 8 points and above. If they're using the 5-star rating system, look for freelancers with at least 4 stars and above. The rating system runs this way. When their services are satisfying, their buyers will leave them positive ratings, which contributes to their overall rating. Thus, the higher the rating, the better the service they manage to provide. In this level, filter them out according to their ratings, then move on to the next step. The next method would be reading through the feedback and reviews in the profile. If you can, try to look for their profile on other platforms like Facebook. From their profiles, you can evaluate them better. From these networks alone, you may not be able to get in-depth details of their work habits, but you will be able to know their general online behavior through the content they share online. It would be a good reference for you to understand the freelancers better. However, if you're not up to looking up for their profile on other platforms, you can go to their profile in the marketplace. When you are on their profile page, scroll down to look for reviews and feedback from their former buyers. Read the reviews and feedback in their profile. It is acceptable to have a few negative reviews or feedback because there are always difficult clients that have requirements which are nearly impossible to fulfill. However, read through the comments and take note of it. Here's a side note for you. Like I mentioned, it is acceptable to have a few negative feedback, but make sure that there is at least 90% of positive feedback from the buyers. By this stage, you should be left with just a few candidates that you would like to start a conversation with. The rest can be the backup. Start a conversation with each of them, as you can evaluate their character throughout the conversation. First things first, you can evaluate them by how they reply to your request. For instance, you can assess someone in terms of how long they take to respond to your request. This way, you will know how fast they will get back to you when you contact them in the future. From the way they respond to your request, you will get to evaluate their professional working attitude in handling the work you pass to them. If needed, you may get their email address in case of any emergencies. In some instances, the marketplace server may be down or hacked. If so, you will have a second method to communicate with them. Finally, ask for their portfolio as a reference to evaluate their work. This can be said to be an essential part. Evaluating the portfolio would be the final factor that you will need to walk through before agreeing to use their work and offering them the job. You should not accept their service before getting to see their past work. Regardless of anything else, the capability to provide quality work is the utmost important factor that you must put priority on when it comes to screening for freelancers. Whether they can perform well or not is not depending on the way they speak, but on their actions. Therefore, other than evaluating the way they handle work, you will need to evaluate the work from them. This is to ensure that you can provide the best service to your clients as well. Let's assume you are a broker on Fiverr. Other than screening and filtering freelancers, pricing your offer to the freelancer is always a complicated issue, especially when you are new to the system. To set a price of your job offer from the earnings on Fiverr would be a big question mark for some. There is no 100% guarantee that you'll get a perfect freelancer all the time, so dealing with a difficult freelancer is unavoidable sometimes. As you may already know, negotiating with difficult freelancers is not an easy task and requires certain techniques. You need to think in terms of how a freelancer would think when you're setting up the prices for them, such as factors that will affect whether they will take up the offer or not. The cost plus factor comes first. When you can offer a price that is worth more than what they will need to do, it makes an irresistible offer to grab. The market price is the next factor. You must not offer a price that is too different from the market price. You may not know how to start researching on the market price if you have just begun. Here's what you can do. Visit all the other marketplaces, search for keywords, and mark down the prices offered by the other sellers. For instance, if you're looking for a graphic designer to draw a logo for you, look for the keyword logo design in the marketplace. From here, you can see how much people usually offer to the freelancers. Moving on, the third factor is value-driven. This is once again a factor that is related to the first factor, the cost plus factor. Regardless whether you are a buyer or seller, people always look for the value. What's in it for me is the first question that will pop up in our minds. As a seller, you must be able to show them the value. Cost plus factor plays a vital role in the brokering system. When a gig is not profitable, freelancers are more than likely to turn down the offer. They accept gigs based on the offers that can earn more than what they will need to do. This includes the time that will be needed to invest, and whether the time they invest to work on your job is worth the price or not. If they could have worked for another gig with the same amount of time but with a higher pay, they will definitely go for the second offer. To calculate the cost plus for a gig is relatively easy. All you will need is the unit cost and the desired profit margin. For instance, if the wages for a workday is $15, to finish the whole project we'll need at least 1 week. Hence, the unit cost will be 30 times 7, which equals to $105. So, if the gig doesn't offer more than $105, freelancers are more likely to put your gig offer as their last option. Leveraging market rates is solely based on the marketplaces in which you are offering your gig. where you look at the marketplaces and the prices of other gigs to identify what costs others are offering and make decisions based on that. You can do some research on the other gig prices offered by other sellers in the marketplace, especially about the gigs in the same field. Once you have the information needed, set a price that does not run too far away from the margin. It can be slightly higher or lower than the others. Try to find a balance between that which can satisfy both your financial budget and the cost plus of the freelancers. It is not an easy task to set the price to be win-win all the time, but always remember to refer to the market price. The market prices in comparison to international freelancers may vary. That said, if you're using international marketplaces, you will need to understand the local and international market. Last but not least, freelancers are value-driven. Like I've said, this is a factor that goes together with the cost-plus factor. People will always look for a gig that can profit them. Even if they've decided to take up the offer that does not profit them, they will work equivalent to the price you've offered. That said, the lower the price, the lower the quality of work they will deliver to you. Thus, always ask for further information from freelancers. For instance, a standard voiceover costs $100. But if you want it to be synced with a video, it'll be another $50. You can ask the freelancers to send you a custom offer with all the gigs listed out with prices, like how Fiverr is doing now. This way, you will know what you've paid for, as well as collect references for future use. Be prepared to negotiate with freelancers. They may be difficult sometimes, but you as a seller must stand firm on your point of view as well. If the price they ask for is not favorable as well as unprofitable, do not be afraid to turn down the offer from the freelancer. The price structures can work three ways, which are calculated by hourly rates, daily, monthly rates, and project-based rates. Hourly rates and daily or monthly rates are usually for sellers who like to hire for long term. If you are not keen on running around looking for freelancers every single time you receive orders from your clients, you can look for someone who is willing to work long term. There are, of course, also cons if you're hiring them for long term. You will never get to know the person that works from you. That being said, you will not know what happens if he or she is missing in action. In case of emergency, you wouldn't know how to contact them other than through emails. The ideal price structure will be project-based, which you'll pay them once per project. This way, you do not need to worry about the issue of commitment. You can always go back to the same freelancers if you find the job they completed has achieved most of the positive feedback from your clients. Here are some tips for you when you're drafting the price of your gig for freelancers. First of all, you need to know the minimum acceptable rate of the freelancers and not offer a gig lower than that. And then, as a broker on Fiverr, you should pay your freelancers from the earnings you receive from the client. Calculate your own profits in between after you pay the freelancer. If the return on investment is low, discard the request. When the ROI is low or even negative, it's said that the job isn't profitable. After you have gotten everything on track and start to deal with diverse clients and freelancers, this is the time where you may feel challenged. Even though this means you actually own a great business and you're doing things right, you still need to be prepared for whatever future you are heading to. The more people you cope with, the more difficulties are faced. There are many different types of personalities that you'll encounter, and you will need to make yourself flexible enough to bear with them. Managing your freelancers is not an easy task, especially when dealing with those difficult ones. Do not ever underestimate this. I will share with you the issues you may face and the solutions to these problems. It is essential to determine how your freelancer works. There are a lot of what-ifs to be foreseen. For example, what if he or she is a draggy person? What if they take it slow and complete their work at the very last minute? This is why scheduling is helpful for the work to be done. You need to set up a strict time phase or deadline for your freelancers and let them know that you're very precise about time. You can even contact them a day before the deadline just to check in on their progress. Write an email or message them. It is even better if they are okay with a local phone call. If your freelancers are not based locally, an email and a message would be good. Remember, a little rushing won't hurt, but you will need to take note of your tone in both writing and talking. Rushing is not threatening. It is your right to rush, but threatening people will only scare them off and set a bad reputation for yourself. Furthermore, there is a situation where your freelancer is not satisfied with the amount of money you pay. Trust me, it happens. So in this case, what should you do? First, establish a friendly negotiation. You do not want to push yourself to a dead end by insisting on your initial pay. Try to bargain with them and work things out together. If you feel uncertain on giving extra pay to people you don't know well, you can promise a bonus if they are able to finish their work on time with splendid quality. In this situation, no one loses. Of course, you can always call off a deal if you are not comfortable or if you think your freelancer is asking too much from you. Settle for a mutual cancellation and find another freelancer who's willing to work for you with your pay. If the majority of your freelancers raise up the payment issue, then it is time for you to readjust the pay you offer. Try not to think of how much you have to lose, but of the loyalty that you've earned. If a little increase in pay gets you loyal freelancers, don't you think it's a good way to go? All right, enough on difficult freelancers. Did you know some barriers can only be resolved by yourself? This kind of barrier is far more difficult to deal with because you are struggling with your own will. There will be the time when you need to let go of something in order to achieve your success. Let's get you prepared. Your biggest challenge will be time management. This happens when you have too much traffic at the same time. Great business comes with a price, and time will be your price. This is where you will need to be flexible and keep your mind clear. Communicate with your buyers and also outsource your work systematically to your freelancers. The important thing is not to be frightened by the jam. It is actually a good sign, but you will need to have a clear head to handle this. Also, do not be afraid to say no to your buyers if you really can't afford the traffic. Being honest to your buyer is better than messing up your business. Buyers will not leave any bad comments or reviews if you talk to them nicely and politely. They'll understand. It is good if you're able to handle your traffic accordingly, but this may be the time where your daily life and working life gets messed up. You may be unable to separate yourself into several parts for your work, family, or friends. You may even have no time for yourself. Here's a point to note. A successful person works with quality. If you know your business is great, on track, and doing well, you may choose buyers with the higher price offered. With all the good reviews and 5-star ratings, it is not that hard to get the deal. You can slow down your business by accepting higher paid jobs and outsourcing them to your freelancers. Thus, you can spare yourself some time to have a good meal and quality time with your friends and family. Remember, successful people do not work like a dog, they work smart. Finally, our section has come to an end. I hope you've learned something. Now, in this very last section, I will give some suggestions on tools that would enhance your brokering business and overcome some challenges you've encountered. I am sure you would want to know about techniques to ease up your management, right? When I say management, it is not just about brokering, but also includes your time management and social media management. As we all know, people nowadays do not carry their laptops everywhere. We are more likely to carry our phones and tablets when we go out. The reason is obvious. Not only is it for convenience, but it is also lighter to carry. So I'm going to suggest a few applications for iOS and Android users to smooth up the brokerage. Sound good to you? Let's get started. There are some basic applications that we all know. For example, Dropbox. Dropbox gives you 2 gigs of free cloud storage, and you can bump that up to 1 terabyte for $10 a month. Dropbox provides a wide range of features, including shared folders synced across multiple users and devices. Don't just send your clients your Fiverr seller's Dropbox link. Put the file in your own Dropbox and send them the link from your account. Besides that, you could also use Skype to communicate with your client or freelancer. Normally, people will not reject a phone call through Skype. It is essential for you if you manage to talk to your client and freelancer. The chances of knowing them are higher as compared to pure writing. When it comes to a billing issue, I would suggest you use Nutcash. It accepts credit cards and PayPal. It's free, easy, and painless to bill your client. The important thing is that it looks extremely professional. In order to look professional in gaining your client's trust, create a simple one-page website to show some of the samples you've sold, display what your business is about, and why are you the best for them. Trust me, it's more convincing to use your own professional-looking site instead of just a few lines of description. WordPress is a good platform to build a site for people to understand and read at ease. Remember to keep your site simple and nice. In addition, there are some free applications for phones and tablets that are useful to you too. However, an application like Mail Tracker is only available for iOS users. The biggest obstacles for projects to get completed can be when people refuse to read their emails, which is where Mail Tracker comes in handy. This helpful iOS app syncs with the iPhone's mailbox and can send you a detailed notification of when the other person reads a message, where they read it from, and etc. It is very convenient for you when you are checking the process with your freelancers. In this case, you can tell whether they are telling lies or whether they are really busy. In case you are a forgetful person, Pushbullet ensures that you never forget anything. The app syncs with your computer and can display all of your notifications from your phone right on the screen. Pushbullet can let you send files between devices, which can be immediately downloaded. So you would lessen the risk of missing any job review for your freelancer before you send it out to your client. The best thing about Pushbullet is that it's available on a variety of platforms, including iOS, Android, Chrome, and Firefox. If you prefer to buy an app with more features, here's my suggestion. When it comes to project management, Basecamp is one of the biggest names around. The service provides a centralized place for organizing and coordinating projects, allowing teams to create notes, lists, and schedules, upload files and plans, assign and manage tasks, and communicate with colleagues about progress on each individual element. In this case, it is easier for you to communicate with your freelancers on the progress. With the company's multi-platform approach, you can view and edit anything you need from any device you have handy. However, you'll need a Basecamp subscription, which is free for 60 days, that runs anywhere from $20 to $150 a month. It is available for iOS, Android, and also the web. Next is an app for you to keep yourself on track. Unfortunately, it is only available for iOS and Mac users. Clear is a simple and well-designed to-do list to help you stay on track. You can easily drag and reorder your to-dos, and adding a new item is as easy as pulling down your list and typing it in. When you're done with a task, just swipe right. Clear makes it easy to jot down a thing you need to do and pull it up on either your Mac, iPhone, or iPad, and it all syncs over iCloud. If you're really weak in planning and time management, this app will definitely give you some help. Finally, we have come to the very last part of the section. Here, I would like to talk about some social media managing apps that I have mentioned in the previous sections, which are Buffer and ManageFlitter. Buffer is a software application designed to manage social networks. Buffer allows users to schedule posts sent through the application to the user's social media accounts. This feature can schedule and send posts to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, app.Net, and Google+. There are various default time slots in the application, which are based on the times during the day when social media users are most active online. The free version of this app only allows 10 posts at a given time and only allows the management of one social media account per social media website. On the other side, there is a paid version of Buffer named Awesome that allows you to schedule 100 posts at any time and allows the management of up to 10 social media profiles. It is available for both iOS and Android users and also the web. On the other hand, ManageFlitter is a web-based application that assists Twitter users to gain insight into their Twitter account. ManageFlitter provides a set of tools that allows Twitter users to effectively curate, prune, and grow their Twitter account. In addition, ManageFlitter provides an easy way for users to integrate their Google+ account with their Twitter account. It also allows Twitter users to identify people who don't follow them or lack other desirable traits and subsequently unfollows them. ManageFlitter users can analyze their Twitter account data in a variety of ways with ManageFlitter.